Hello everyone, my name is Denise. I'm a Catholic counselor. So today I'll be talking about the effects of the lack of empathy. Lack of empathy, you see it in a lot of personality disorders. The one that's most popularly talked about is like narcissistic personality disorder. But actually you also see a semblance of it, let's say in maybe borderline personality disorder, histrionic personality disorder, and of course antisocial personality disorder. But it's in a different kind of way. For example, the narcissist lacks empathy, but they know their theory of mind. Okay, this is what I got from Dr. Ramani. That means they actually understand that this thing is causing you pain. It's just they don't care. So that is called lacking empathy, right? So you know the dark tetrad? Narcissism, psychopathy, Machiavellianism, and sadism. If you don't have theory of mind, then you can't have sadism. You only can be sadistic when you know that the other person is suffering, right? So since this dark tetrad comes together, it holds that narcissism, they actually understand what the person is feeling, but they just don't care. That's called lack of empathy. Whereas borderline personality disorder, they experience in a different way. It's because their trauma, so-called maybe overstimulate the amygdala. I think it's that part of the brain. I'm not so sure because my neurobiology is not so good. Or it triggers out a past memory that is so charged that it causes the theory of mind to be a little bit warped. They misinterpret what other people are thinking, and hence they act in a way that lacks empathy. But as a result, you know that it doesn't come from a place of moral depravity, but more like unhealed traumas. That's why I think borderline cases tend to be easier to treat, and they tend to be more palatable. Although it also has if you hold it too long, like your resentment and anger and trauma for too long, it has a chance of progressing to narcissism. The histrionics, because they tend to think things in a very superficial way, they flit from one thought to another, and like they talk in this kind of very flowery impressionistic way. It's actually a reflection of their way of thinking, and because they cannot go deep enough, their theory of mind is limited. So they also lack empathy, but it's not in a very at least in my experience, not in a very insidious way. It's just that they never thought deep enough. If you guide them to think deep enough, they will understand it and then develop empathy. Okay. So why am I talking about this? Because sometimes before I end, I want to tell you, so autism is another thing that lacks empathy, but it's not, for them it's mostly the lack of theory of mind. They don't know what you are thinking or feeling. Some of people on the ASD spectrum, but if you tell them, then they will know, and then they will learn. Most of them will learn, and they will respond. Usually you say, hey, do you know when you do this, it's very irritating? They say, okay, fine, then I'll stop doing it. They don't tend to put up a lot of resistance unless it's a part of a routine that is very sacred to them. Like every morning when you brush your teeth, it is irritating because of the sound. So that will be a bit annoying. So maybe you close the doors, brush softer, something like that, right? But it's not that they don't want to make the concessions for other people. So that is like different variants of lacking empathy. Okay, so let me just dive right into it. So if you do lack empathy, in any of those cases, whether narcissism, borderline, histrionic, or ASD, you realize that it is like lacking a particular sense in your life that so-called impedes the living of life in a very smooth way, right? So what I mean is that, let's say there was a period of time, I think the AirPods, right, the iPhone, the AirPods was soundproof. I think soundproof or something. That means they sound cancelling, noise cancelling. So when I wore it and went jogging, I didn't know when there was like a car, or maybe there's a bicycle or pram or what behind me, and sometimes when they overtake me, it like freaks me out. Okay, so it's like impedes my sense of sound. Yes, and it makes me feel that the world's a more dangerous place. I find it harder to navigate this world. I knew I shared this with one of my clients. She said just have to wear one side, nice noise cancelling, then the other side you don't wear. perfect solution, right? But anyway, I think Apple knew about it, so the next generation of AirPods they made that was not noise cancelling, so you can still wear both sides, right? You listen to your podcast or your music, go jogging, and you can still be aware of the surroundings. Okay, so that was distressing, that period of time when I was trying to wear the noise cancelling AirPods. But similar in the case like when you lack empathy. When you lack empathy, you go around the world and then like you see people with different facial expressions, you don't know what they're feeling. You don't know what you have done to irritate them. You just know that doesn't seem like a happy face. What have I done to irritate him, or her? And then it's easy to become resentful and victimized and very confused, basically very confused, and hence not living to your best potential. So lacking empathy, it is itself very debilitating. Okay, so remember I told you, but like today I mentioned more about like narcissist, borderline, histrionic, and ASD, right? Autism. All four lacks empathy in its own unique ways, and hence is debilitating in its own unique ways. Okay, for example, the narcissist lack empathy. It's not that they don't know; they have theory of mind. They just don't care. They don't they don't give a damn about what people feel or what they need. They prioritize their own needs so strong. This is signs of entitlement, and hence because of that they don't really survive well in a social setting or in a social group for long. As a result, they have to be very nomadic. They move from one person to another person, or one group to another group, right? And then they tend to, because they're lonely and they lack supply or positive strokes, they tend to talk to a lot of strangers, and they keep themselves very charming and very good looking, right? Because that's how to get inroad to a new group. Then nomadically they need to change. But because of that, they suffer because they cannot form the deep connections, like those like decades-long relationships. Every time they are forming new relationships, they suffer due to their lack of empathy in their own unique way. So that is the narcissist. The borderline is complex because I told you they misinterpret cues and they overreact. So their theory of mind is affected. That's one. And second, they also come with attachment hunger, which means that not like the narcissist that can like nomadically move around quite smoothly and maybe not get hit by it. The borderline gets very hurt every time there's an abandonment. So borderline, because sometimes maybe they have some meltdowns and stuff, they might have to move from group to group as well, but they can't transit as smoothly as a narcissist. And then, for example, let's say you want to buy something at the grocery store and the cashier's in a bad mood, or she's busy doing something and you tried to get her attention and you couldn't. And let's say if you have borderline traits and you get very stirred up, see, it does affect your daily activity of living in a way. It might make you, so you had a meltdown at the supermarket, then will you dare to go back to the same supermarket? Will you have the courage to mend that relationship with the cashier? Something like that. With that said, I know a lot of borderline will go back and apologize profusely, try to mend and all that, but also not necessary. It's not really entirely their fault. So they suffer in their own way. The histrionic suffer in her own way as well, or his own way. Firstly, very superficial, right? So, and also needs a lot of attention, also lacks theory of mind, lacks depth in the theory of mind. So tend to spend a lot of effort, a lot of money, a lot of resources to keep up a youthful appearance. Maybe plastic surgery, maybe Botox and fillers, maybe a lot of intense exercise. So a big chunk of their life is devoted to that. A much bigger chunk than actually necessary. Which this big chunk of their life could have been spent on other pursuits, maybe intellectual pursuits, spiritual pursuits, spending really quality time with people and forming relationships. A lot of it was spent preserving their beautiful outlook. So that's how they suffer. Okay, next one, the one that's closest to heart, ASD, autism spectrum. You like theory of mind, then you might become even more and more introverted, because once you go out, you're exposed to a bunch of people, you don't know what they're thinking or what they're feeling. The ASD have like fundamental lack of theory of mind. That's why they lack empathy in that way. So it means that it becomes very scary to go to a new place, like a new country. Because new country, right, some actions mean different things, and you lack the ability to have that flexibility to interpret what it means. Or even shopping at a new supermarket, finding a new friend or what, you have to learn it really from the bottom up. and hence people on the ASD spectrum tends to stick to routine, shop always at the same timing, at the same supermarket, go to the same cashier because it works for them every single time. You change a context, you got to learn it from ground up, because the ability to generalize and to have that theory of mind that subtle nuances is impaired. Okay, so I'm saying all that to show basically my main key takeaway that I really want all of you to know is that all this, especially the more demonized kind of labels like narcissistic personality disorder, we keep thinking that, oh, you lack empathy and hence I'm suffering. Actually, it's not true. They are suffering too. They're suffering too, and probably more than you. If you let's say you got a close family member who is narcissistic, you suffer to a certain extent when they are around you, right? But when they're gone, you are so-called free. So as long as you have good boundaries, you so-called get away mostly scot-free or just like minimal damage. But for them, they can't escape themselves. They can't escape themselves. So everywhere they go, they're constantly 24/7 plagued with that. So if you understand that, then you have more compassion for people with this kind of conditions, and you're also less prone to developing this defense, which is like, oh gosh, you're dangerous, evil people, stay away from me, you lack empathy. I say, oh gosh, you lack empathy, you lack this sense. The world is now a more dangerous place for you as a result. Oh, that sucks. I have more compassion for you. Something like that. I think this is very important if you have a family member, or maybe like your boyfriend or your girlfriend, your wife or husband has the narcissistic borderline histrionic autism traits. That's important for you to know. But very importantly, also if you're a therapist, you can't be a therapist if you lack empathy. You might be able to, like some people, they complain to me like, I got clients but they don't stay long, or they don't refer other clients to me. Then I'm thinking, okay, it's like you can't be a chef if you lack a sense of taste. If your taste is not your taste buds are not so sensitive and can pick up the nuances of the flavors, or lack a sense of creativity to blend these flavors, right? You can't. Or if you can, but you need to make sure that you stick to the recipe perfectly well. Don't try to be funny. Don't try to improvise. You can be that kind of chef, like train for 10 years and become a robot, kind of part of that conveyor belt system. The chef in a big restaurant, but to be a top chef, you really need to have that same thing. To be a good counselor, you need to have empathy. You need to have empathy because you need to have that sensitive antenna to be able to attune to your clients, know what they need, and then hence have compassion for them. So if you don't have empathy, it's going to be very hard for you to succeed. Not impossible. You still can be very good at your techniques and say, oh, when she says this, I just use this technique. So it becomes a muscle memory, but it just comes much harder for you. Make sense? Okay, so that's all for today's video. I hope it's been helpful for you, and so open your eyes to the lack of empathy, to take a more compassionate stance on it. And if it has been, kindly press like, share and subscribe. Thank you so much, everyone. God bless.